For decades, Sizzla Kalonji, one of reggae and dancehall's most influential voices, has been a figure of admiration, controversy, and mystery. His lyrics challenged oppressors, and his fire both on the mic and off became legendary. But there's always been one question fans quietly whispered. Who did Sizzla really clash with? Who irked him so much that he couldn't stay silent? After years of rumors, social media speculation, and behind-the-scenes tension in the Jamaican music world, there's finally a long-awaited answer. At 49, Sizzla just opened up naming the 7 artists he hated most during his career, the ones he genuinely had beef with. At number 1 is Luciano. Luciano, often called the messenger of reggae, is one of the most respected voices in spiritual and conscious reggae. Known for his smooth, uplifting lyrics and deep connection to Rastafari, Luciano built a reputation for spreading positive messages through his music. His songs spoke about love, unity, and the power of faith, earning him respect both in Jamaica and around the world. In the 90s, Luciano became a mentor to a young Sizzla, seeing potential in the rising star. He took Sizzla on tour, guided him in the studio, and shared the wisdom he had gained from years in the reggae scene. At first, the relationship seemed like a perfect match, a seasoned artist supporting a fiery newcomer. But as Sizzla's popularity grew, cracks started to appear. Sizzla began taking a more aggressive approach to his music. His lyrics became sharper, more confrontational, and sometimes full of profanity, reflecting his militant Bobo Ashanti Rastafari beliefs. Luciano, who had always championed spiritual and conscious reggae, felt Sizzla's new direction went against everything he stood for. Songs like Smoke the Herb were particularly troubling to him, and he saw the change as a betrayal of the Rastafarian values they both claimed to represent. The conflict deepened when Luciano tried to discuss his concerns with Sizzla's producer, Fatis Burrell, but felt ignored. By 1999, the tension had grown so much that Luciano decided to leave Exterminator Records. Their once strong bond had fractured, and both artists went their separate ways, focusing on their own visions for reggae. Years later, the tension flared up again at live events. One of the most talked about moments happened at Rebel Salute in 2018. Sizzla reportedly disrupted Luciano's performance by getting the selector to switch the rhythm unexpectedly, throwing Luciano off balance during his set. This incident reminded fans that even years after their split, the rivalry between the two stars was far from forgotten. If the tension between Luciano and Sizzla was serious, it is nothing compared to the clash Sizzla had with Norris Man. This feud went far beyond words and spilled into a public and physical confrontation that shook the reggae community. It all started back in 2007 at Capleton's big concert, called St. Mary Me Come From. Sizzla was on stage performing for a packed crowd when Norris Man suddenly stormed the stage. He wasn't there to watch, he demanded that his own music be played instead. Things quickly turned personal when Norris Man insulted Sizzla's mother in front of everyone. The crowd gasped, the tension soared, and Sizzla's Bobo Ashanti followers quickly surrounded Norris Man. They didn't hold back, grabbing him and manhandling him until Capleton himself stepped in to stop the fight. The scene was chaotic, and it became one of the most talked about moments in reggae that year. The very next day, Norris Man apologized for his behavior, trying to smooth things over. At first, it seemed like the feud was over, but in truth, the apology didn't fully erase the hurt and resentment. Years later, in 2024 and 2025, the incident resurfaced when both artists gave interviews discussing what had happened. Old wounds were reopened, and fans were reminded just how deep the tension ran. In one interview on the Nightly Fix podcast, Sizzla spoke about the incident in his calm but sarcastic way. He called Norris Man's actions disrespectful, but he made it clear he did not condone the beating that had followed. The comments reignited interest in the feud, and soon Norris Man responded in his own interview. He revealed that the rivalry went deeper than that one night and expressed disappointment that Sizzla didn't do more to fully resolve the issue after the apology. He even said he could take Sizzla in a confrontation, showing that the rivalry was still very much alive. Today, the relationship between Sizzla and Norris Man remains strained. Both artists continue to speak about the past, airing their grievances and reminding fans that some conflicts in reggae aren't just about music, but respect, pride, and unresolved tension. At number 3 is DJ Khaled. Over the years, Sizzla has worked with many international artists, and one of the biggest names on that list is DJ Khaled. Their connection was strong and very visible. On DJ Khaled's 2017 album Grateful, Sizzla appeared on the opening track, I'm So Grateful, setting the tone for the project. A sample of Sizzla's song, Woman I Need You, was also used on It's Secured, a track that featured Nas and Travis Scott. The partnership continued in 2019 with Father of Assad, where Sizzla appeared on the intro song, Holy Mountain. Later on, DJ Khaled's God Did project again pulled from Jamaican roots, featuring Sizzla alongside artists like Buju Banton, Capleton, Bounty Killer, and Skillibang on These Streets Know My Name. On the surface, everything looked like respect, unity, and big wins for reggae on the global stage. But behind the scenes, Sizzla felt very differently. What was meant to be a moment of celebration turned into a public fallout. In an Instagram video, Sizzla showed 2 platinum REAA plaques he received for his work on Grateful and Father of Assad. Instead of proudly displaying them, he set them on fire. The video shocked fans around the world. Sizzla and the people around him recorded the plaques being destroyed, but one part was carefully saved, the image that showed DJ Khaled's son, Assad. Sizzla made it clear that the child had nothing to do with the issue, saying the baby was innocent. His anger wasn't aimed at the success of the albums, but at what he felt was disrespect. The plaques themselves mostly showed DJ Khaled's image, his name, or his son. Sizzla's name appeared in much smaller print near the Presented To section. To Sizzla, this felt like an insult. In the video, he said plainly that DJ Khaled had insulted him and insulted Jamaica. He felt Jamaican artists were being used for sound and culture, but not given proper credit or respect. Later on, Sizzla admitted that emotions and pride played a role in how he reacted. He apologized for burning the plaques, saying vanity got the best of him. Still, the moment stayed with fans as one of the most dramatic examples of an artist rejecting industry praise when it doesn't come with respect. And while this clash was about recognition and pride, the next name on this list shows that Sizzla's conflicts didn't stop with industry figures. The next story dives into another rivalry that cut even deeper and played out in a very public way. Coming at number 4 is Fantan Mojah. Sizzla has never been the type to stay quiet when he feels something is wrong. From early in his career, he has seen himself not just as an entertainer, but as a guardian of Rastafarian values. So when he believes artists are sending the wrong message, he speaks up, even if it causes tension. In 2001, Sizzla openly called out fellow Rastafarian artists, saying some of them were wearing the look of Rasta, but not living the life. Years later, that same issue came back into the spotlight during a long Instagram live session from his Judgment Yard base in Augusttown. While playing music, including songs from his Million Times album, Sizzla paused and began talking directly to fans about what he saw as hypocrisy in the culture. He spoke about artists who wear locks, turbans, and dark robes, but then live in ways that clash with Rastafarian principles. He said these actions confuse the youth and disrespect the foundation laid by elders. Although he didn't call any names, many fans felt his comments were aimed at Fantan Mojah. Around that time, Fantan Mojah was facing heavy criticism for the video to his song Fire King. The video was seen by many as too sexual and flashy, especially coming from an artist linked to the Bobo Ashanti order. Even respected voices like Mutabaruka spoke out, saying the video did not match Rastafarian teachings. Fantan Mojah didn't stay silent. He pushed back, defending himself, and saying that being Rastafarian does not mean living poor or looking rough. He argued that Rasta should be clean, well-dressed, and confident, and that success and good living should not be treated as a sin. He also said the song had support from respected elder Earl Chinna Smith, which, in his view, justified his stance. But Sizzla clearly did not agree. In his live session, he made it clear that wealth should not change a person's morals. He questioned why some artists claim to be humble and clean when they have nothing, but then turn flashy and careless once money comes. To him, that kind of change showed corruption, not growth. He also warned artists who are popular in Jamaica to stop pushing images and behavior that do not represent Jamaican culture or Rastafarian truth. Sizzla felt that music carries responsibility, and once that responsibility is ignored, the damage spreads fast, especially among young fans watching closely. Not everyone supported Sizzla's message. Some fans pointed out that even Sizzla has songs from earlier years that clash with strict Rastafarian standards. That debate only added more fuel to the fire, turning the situation into a wider discussion about who has the right to speak on Rasta values and where the line should be drawn. What was clear, though, was this. The divide between Sizzla and Fantan Mojah wasn't about personal hatred. It was about belief, image, and what Rastafarian identity should look like in modern reggae. And as the list continues, the next name shows that Sizzla's conflicts didn't stay limited to spiritual debates. At number 5 is Vybz Kartel. The tension between Sizzla and Vybz Kartel has never been about friendship or collaboration. It has always been about power, positioning, and how artists are treated behind the scenes. The issue flared up publicly after Sizzla pulled out of the One Caribbean Music Festival in Trinidad. Almost immediately, social media lit up with rumors. Some promoters and fans claimed Sizzla had made unrealistic demands, including asking for the same performance fee as Vybz Kartel, who was one of the biggest names connected to the event. Sizzla didn't let that story sit. When he finally spoke, he made it clear that the claims were not true. According to him, this was never about trying to match Kartel's fee. It was about a broken agreement. Sizzla explained that the contract clearly stated a 50% down payment before the show. Instead of that, he said he only received about 10%. Despite that, he still went ahead and started preparing for the performance in good faith, believing the promoter would honor the deal. During a meeting with the promoter, Sizzla said he reminded him of the agreed payment terms. When the promoter still failed to provide the 50% down payment, Sizzla suggested a compromise. He said that since the original headlining artist was no longer appearing, the promoter could pay Sizzla the same 50% that was meant for that missing headliner, and Sizzla would step in and headline the show. From Sizzla's point of view, this was a fair and simple solution, but according to him, the promoter still did not move forward with the payment. Sizzla and his team were left waiting in a hotel room for a follow-up meeting that never brought any real progress. At that point, Sizzla decided to walk away from the festival completely. Once the story hit the public, Vybz Kartel's name became part of the discussion, even though Kartel himself did not directly respond. Fans quickly turned it into a comparison between the two artists, one seen as the face of modern dancehall dominance, the other as a veteran conscious voice demanding respect. For Sizzla, the situation was not about Kartel as a person. It was about how promoters use big names, play artists against each other, and fail to respect contracts. Still, the fact that Kartel's fee was even part of the conversation made it feel like another chapter in the long, unspoken rivalry between dancehall power and conscious reggae. Next up is Capleton. Before the silence, there was fire. In the late 90s and early 2000s, Sizzla and Capleton were seen as brothers in the movement. Alongside Anthony B., they formed a powerful trio that carried conscious reggae to new heights. They shared stages across Jamaica and overseas, chanting strong lyrics, calling down fire, and pushing Rastafari messages into dancehall spaces that were once dominated by slackness. At that time, they were all flying the banner of the Bobo Ashanti faith, and fans saw them as united in purpose. But as the years passed, things slowly changed. As Sizzla's career grew rapidly, his fan base exploded, and his camp gained serious influence. Quiet talk started to spread that Capleton, already known as King Shango, was not comfortable with how dominant Sizzla's circle had become. What once felt like unity began to feel like competition. Their music paths also started to move apart. Capleton stayed very strict in his message, spiritual, disciplined, and focused almost entirely on righteousness. Sizzla, on the other hand, began blending conscious lyrics with harder dancehall energy. His songs started to include gun talk, flashy themes, and street language mixed into the fire chanting. For some fans, it was growth. For others, it was a drift from the original path. People began to notice small signs. During live shows, both artists would make comments that sounded like indirect shots, talk of false prophets or artists who used to chant fire. No names were called, but the meaning felt clear to those paying attention. Over time, they stopped performing together. Collaborations ended. Judgment Yard and David House, once moving side by side, no longer crossed paths. There was no public fight, no big argument caught on camera, just distance. and that silence became louder than any clash. To this day, they have not reunited on stage or repaired that bond in public. At the same time, Sizzla was facing battles beyond personal relationships. From the early 2000s, he became a major target of criticism over lyrics in some of his songs that were seen as anti-gay. These songs, released mostly between 2000 and 2005, triggered protests from LGBTQ rights groups. As a result, many of his shows were canceled, especially in Europe and North America. In 2007, Sizzla and several other reggae artists signed the Reggae Compassionate Act. The agreement was meant to reject hate and remove lyrics that promote violence against gay people. Even after signing, the controversy did not fade. Protests continued, and more shows were canceled for years after. Sizzla pushed back. In a 2012 statement, he said the cancellations were a form of censorship meant to cause financial harm, not just to him, but to everyone involved in reggae tours. He also questioned why artists in hip-hop and pop were not treated the same way, even when they expressed strong views on similar topics. He argued that many critics misunderstood Rastafari beliefs and Jamaican expression. According to Sizzla, his lyrics were often metaphorical and symbolic, but people outside the culture took them literally. The fallout reached immigration level. In 2008, Sizzla's U.S. work visa was revoked, which many believed was linked to the controversy. It was reinstated in 2016, revoked again, briefly restored with limited permits, and then revoked once more in 2019. Sizzla later said part of the issue came from an old marijuana-related police record. In 2024, his U.S. visa was finally reinstated again. Between broken brotherhoods, public backlash, and years of blocked borders, this period marked one of the most difficult chapters of Sizzla's career. And as we move to the next name on this list, the story shifts once again, from tension and silence to moments where respect, ego, and public reaction collide in unexpected ways. Finally, at number 7 is Conroy Smith. This one stirred a lot of emotion in the reggae community. In a video that quickly made the rounds online, veteran singer Conroy Smith did not hold back. Speaking bluntly, he described Sizzla as the filth of reggae, a statement that shocked many fans and reignited long-running debates about respect, culture, and direction within the music. Conroy Smith framed his comments around how he was raised. He spoke about growing up in a time when simple manners mattered, saying thank you, please, excuse me, and good morning were not optional. They were a way of life. Respect for elders was expected, family values were taught early, and culture was something you carried with pride. To him, those values are slowly disappearing, and music is one of the places where that loss shows most clearly. Smith argued that a lack of discipline in today's music has led to its decline. He believes that reggae and dancehall once stood for upliftment, education, and social guidance. In his view, too many artists have moved away from that foundation and replaced it with aggression, disrespect, and shock value. He directly called out Sizzla and other artists for lyrics he felt promote violence and chaos. In a pointed moment, he questioned the intelligence behind lines that speak about burning down places or lighting fires, asking what kind of message that really sends to the youth listening. For Conroy Smith, this was not just about one artist. It was about responsibility. He stressed that musicians are influential figures, especially in communities where music shapes identity and thinking. When lyrics lose discipline, he believes the culture suffers with them. His comments sparked strong reactions on both sides. Some agreed with him, saying reggae has drifted too far from its roots. Others felt he went too far, arguing that music reflects society and that artists should not be blamed alone for deeper social issues. As always with Sizzla, opinions remain divided. So now the question is yours. What do you think about Sizzla's impact on reggae and dancehall? Is he preserving fire or fueling controversy? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories from the heart of reggae culture. Heart of reggae.